Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar hosted by Travefy Academy with four amazing panelists who will be sharing expert advice on how to sell 4 different domestic destinations to your clients that we're going to learn about here today. But first, just to quickly introduce myself for anyone new to Travefy Academy, I'm Stephanie Grice, and I am the Senior Client Champion and Education Coordinator at Travefy. And I'm going to introduce all of our speakers in just a minute. But I really want to take time really quick to just thank everyone who's joining us here today. We wanted to host this webinar because we understand that travel has looked very different this year. Most, if not all, travelers have canceled or postponed trips. And unfortunately, we don't have an exact date on the horizon when travel will return to normal again. We wish, but we do not. So with these comes such major change in the travel industry for travel advisors. And that might be to find new and different revenue streams and selling different types of travel to your clients, such as domestic travel. So domestic travel can be more feasible for many travelers since it can be more safe and accessible. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring domestic travel inspiration directly to you by partnering with 2 US destinations, 1 Canada destination, and 1 United Kingdom destination, so that they can share what makes traveling within their destination special and unique. But also we wanted for this to teach advisors within their respective destinations how to sell and market these unique domestic experiences to your clients. So after this webinar, you will receive access to multiple itineraries that each of these experts has put together exclusively for you. And you will get to choose to share and market those itineraries with your clients to encourage possible new bookings. So with every presentation here today, you'll learn what makes these destinations unique and special, but then you're going to get something tangible afterwards where you'll actually be able to copy those itineraries to a Travefy account if you have one, or you can share that itinerary on your social media to clients just to get some engagement, some ideas going. So that's the whole purpose of this webinar, and we hope it's really valuable and really easy and great for you here today in your business. But before I get started and chat with our panelists, I do want to quickly give you an overview of Travefy Academy. If this is your first time joining us, we always just like to say this, Travefy Academy, we are a free educational resource to further Travefy's mission to power the success of travel professionals. And our team has a privilege to work with thousands of amazing travel advisors and organizations like you're seeing here today all the time. And so we have partnered with many of these industry experts and thought leaders to bring you powerful content and educational webinars to help you grow your business. But it is important to note that these webinars are not commercial in nature to specifically promote any of our industry speakers or panelists, including Travefy, in which Travefy Academy does not focus on Travefy products at all. So again, thank you so much for joining us here today. And you can always find past webinars at academy.travefy.com if you ever want to check those out. But with all of that being said, I also want to do a couple housekeeping things here before we dive in. One, this webinar is being recorded. So if you have to hop out, do not worry. You'll automatically receive a recording after this. You can also check it out at academy.travefy.com. You'll see that. You're also going to receive those free sample itineraries as well. So you'll have access to those right away after this. And then there is that question box in your GoToWebinar control panel that you can use to ask any questions in there as well. So we will have time at the end to ask all of our panelists any questions, so feel free to drop those in there as they come up. Now, excited to introduce each of our panelists here today. First, we have Greg Eckhart, Director of Global Sales at Travel Oregon. We also have Jody Blaney, Global Market Specialist at Visit Utah. We have Rhonda Hughes, Manager, Business Development at Travel Alberta. And then we have Jonathan Heisman from Travel Trade Manager, Western USA Division of Visit Britain. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pass the presenter role off to Greg first. So I'm going to pass it to him. And then I am going to send it over to Jody with Visit Utah. And then we'll hear from Rhonda with Travel Alberta. And then finally, Jonathan from Visit Britain. So that's how we're going to do here today. So bear with us as we just transition here. But I'm going to go ahead, Greg, and pass presenter role to you so that you can begin sharing Travel Oregon with us.
Great. All right. Got that? Can everybody see my screen?
Yep, good to go.
One thing I'm going to go ahead and push out in the chat is I put out information related to wildfire and COVID-19. We have an alerts page on our website. That link is in the chat there. If you need it, please go ahead. So let's get back to that. Okay, everybody's got the presentation up. So I'm just going to quickly walk you through an itinerary that we developed in Travify actually some time ago as we were focusing on wellness travel in Oregon, seeing that trend, not knowing how much or how appropriate that trend would be in the future. These were developed probably about 9 months ago with some of my colleagues that are more adept at Travify than I am, although I'm becoming certainly more adept at it and loving the tool. So the itinerary walking you through is that wellness in Oregon itinerary. Day one includes arrival in Eugene. Eugene does have its own airport, serves quite a few large gateways: Los Angeles, Seattle, Denver, San Jose, San Francisco. So there's a lot of large gateways that fly into Eugene. So Portland isn't the only option. It's a great option, but Eugene is also another option. You'll see some other airport options too as I walk through this. Highlights of this day include a guided or self-guided journey along one of Oregon's 7 food trails. This one is the Willamette Valley. The Willamette Valley, as many of you know, is home to many, many wineries, numbering in the hundreds. They have experienced definitely some effects of wildfire there in the valley, but most wineries are still operating and open right now, which is fantastic. Give me a sec. Sorry about that. So Eugene being in the center of the state, kind of on I-5, it's only about 60 minutes away from the Oregon coast. So many people on a tour that includes Eugene will head toward the coast. This trip in particular takes you out to the central coast at Florence, which is nearby. There is the Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area. It's about 65 miles of sand dunes along the Pacific Ocean. A great rec area, a couple of different providers that do guided tours there. Those are commissionable. There's also individual rentals too, if people want to rent their own ATV and get active there. This also has you overnighting in Coos Bay. Coos Bay is the home of Steve Prefontaine. You heard us mention Eugene at the beginning of this discussion. Steve Prefontaine was an Oregonian of international acclaim in the track and field world, competing at the Pan American Games, etc. But since then, track and field has held a place near and dear in all Oregonians' hearts. Many of you know Nike is based here. They're just a few miles down the road from my home here in Oregon. And so we've always had this connection to track and field in Oregon. And I did neglect to mention when I talked about Eugene being track town at the top of this presentation, Eugene will host the 2022 World Athletics Championships. It's never been hosted in the United States, and many of these communities will play a part in terms of what that celebration and what that event looks like, especially Coos Bay, because of their native son, Steve Prefontaine. So moving further down the coast, encouraging more exploration, this one of the Wild Rivers Coast Food Trail. Again, we have a whole website dedicated to this, brochures available too as well, so I'm happy to share that information that wants it. One of the standout experiences on this day, in my opinion, or a few of them, are crabbing on the Oregon coast. Any visitor from anywhere, that includes even Great Britain, can come and buy a fishing license for an out-of-state visitor for about $12 US. And you can rent crab rings there on the dock and catch your own crab, and many places will actually let you cook it right there at their facility, which is a really, really interesting and amazing experience. Quite delicious. Also in the southern coast area near Bandon is an experience called Circles in the Sand. And Circles in the Sand is a labyrinth experience. The man that runs this goes down to various state parks on the south coast, throughout the year, particularly Face Rock State Park near Bandon, and he builds labyrinths in the sand. And a labyrinth is different from a maze because it has a beginning and an end. There's no intention to get lost. So Denny, the guy that does circles in the sand, builds these elaborate, beautiful labyrinths that you can see from the rocks above, or get involved in building or making the labyrinth with him. So that, and he encourages people to do that, just walking up and doing it through donation. It's such an incredible experience. And this was a guy who served as a caddy at Bandon Dunes Golf Resort for a very long time, and then found this amazing artistic calling and outlet in his retirement. Last but not least, continuing along to Ashland. Ashland is an incredible city. Many of you know it for the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. That's what many people do when they visit Ashland, but there's so much more. Beautiful hotels. One of my favorite coffee shops is in Ashland, called Noble Roasting. So again, part of that great Umpqua Food Trail system as well. Incredible access to unique wineries in the Jacksonville area. The town of Jacksonville is nearby Ashland. It is definitely something you'd want to explore. The entire community is a National Historic District. It's got the oldest barber shop in Oregon, and I know it doesn't seem like it, but I have had my hair cut there. And still continuing on into Ashland. This time of year, for me, visiting this part of the state is incredible. The image you see here is of Lithia Park, which is right in the middle of Ashland, Oregon. Lithia Park and Lithia Springs are spectacular during the fall. This is a relatively early shot. In the fall, if we visited Lithia Park closer to Halloween, we'd see a variety of colors, oranges, yellows, just a beautiful array of fall foliage there. There's a lot of outdoor activity there, whether that's skiing, mountain biking, or hiking just in the hills nearby Ashland. And then this has you departing via Medford. Medford is the Rogue Valley International Airport, again, a smaller airport, but with excellent access to gateways on the West Coast. Again, San Jose, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle. I believe they have a Denver flight now as well. So there's a lot of options going in and out of Medford, and using different gateways in the state. Again, this is just one of many itineraries that we put into Travefy. I appreciate your time and attention today. Again, my name is Greg Eckhart, the Director of Sales at Travel Oregon. If you need to catch me via email, my email address is greg@traveloregon.com. Thanks a lot for your help.
Awesome, thank you. Oh, that looks beautiful. Especially just fall is rolling in now for everybody and looks amazing. So Jody, I'm gonna pass presenter over to you because next we are going to have visit Utah.
Okay.
There we go.
Is that right? Do you see me?
Yep. Yep, I see you.
Great. I will tell you all beforehand that I'm not great with technology, so hopefully this goes well. So I just wanted to take a second to introduce myself. I am Jody Blaney, and I am new to the Office of Tourism. I just started in April, but I have been in the travel business for over 25 years, and I'm a Utah native, so you know, I've been to a lot of these places that I'll be talking about. Some of them I still need to explore. So, you know, thank you so much for joining us today to learn a little bit about Utah. And Greg, I need to come and visit you because I've only spent a little bit of time in your area and you have so many cool things. So I'm going to be in touch. So, okay, well, let's see if I can move to the next slide. Nope. Hold on.
Yeah, you might just have to click on your presentation and then click spacebar.
Oh,
there we go.
Okay, so, you know, I don't know how familiar everybody is with where we are, but this is Utah. We are, you know, surrounded by Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, Arizona, Nevada. We do have our Salt Lake City airport, which is wonderful, and it has just been rebuilt. I can't even say remodeled, it's just been rebuilt. So you can, of course, fly into the Salt Lake airport, or, you know, if you are just going to visit the national parks, you can fly into Las Vegas. That makes it a little bit quicker trip to go to southern Utah. So, and just for example, here are our mighty 5 national parks. This is what Utah is really famous for. Well, one of the things we're really famous for. So we've got Arches, Canyonlands, Capitol Reef, Bryce, and Zion. And you can kind of see where they are here on this map. They're all down in southern Utah. And I cannot see my notes, so I'm just gonna wing it. There we go. Okay, so these are the Mighty Five. Here are some pictures of all of them. Bryce, as you can see, is beautiful in the fall. If you plan on going to see all of the national parks, you know, it's not something that you can do in just a couple of days. So we like to recommend a trip of 10 days to 2 weeks. And Haley, our FAM tour specialist in the office, has put together some great itineraries that, you know, of course, involve the Mighty Five. So those will be in Travify, and you'll be able to follow her itineraries to go see all of them. And then a question that has come up recently is if the national parks are open year round, and yes, they are open year round. You can go there all year. Of course, the summer is the peak time that people like to visit, but the fall and the winter are great too, and they're less crowded. Oh, yep, see, here we are. So in Utah, we have Park City, which is known for its snow, but you can also go to the national parks in the wintertime. So let's see. So there's winter hiking in Bryce Canyon National Park. It's an elevation of up to 9,000 feet above sea level. Bryce Canyon gets regular snow during the winter months, but hiking in Bryce during the cooler season is not only possible, it's highly recommended. So, you know, everybody goes in the summertime, but it might be a fun experience to go in the winter. So in Utah, you know, you can go to Park City one day and then take a drive down and go to some of the national parks the next day. And besides skiing, there are lots of other things to do in our mountains. One thing that I like to talk about a lot is the dog sledding. There's actually an Arctic breed rescue group. They take in the Huskies, the Alaskan Huskies and the Siberian Huskies, and rescue them and bring them back to good health. And then they train them to be sled dogs. And you can go on a sled dog ride up near Park City. And also right now, there's a lot of leaf looking going on. Our mountains are beautiful. They're in all different colors. So that's a fun thing to do in the fall. And then in the summertime, there are lots of things to do at the ski resorts. In fact, at Sundance Resort, that's the one that's owned by Robert Redford, you know, famous for the Sundance Film Festival. They have a tram ride that you can do at night, which I've actually done, and that's really cool to do during a full moon. And then one thing you should know about Utah is that we officially have the greatest snow on earth. It actually says that on our license plate. So this is because of the lake effect. We of course have the Great Salt Lake, and storms move in and pick up the water from the Great Salt Lake, and then they come to Utah over the mountains. And they create, let's see, I'm going to read exactly what it says. They suck up the mountain moisture from the Great Salt Lake and then beeline for Utah, wringing out several feet of fluffy flakes to create a bottomless sensation. You get high density snow underneath and low density powder, so your skis seem to float. So if you haven't been skiing in Utah and you don't know what powder is, you might want to give that a try. It's different than any other snow you'll experience. So, and this is a map of all of our ski areas, and the little number that is next to the ski area is how many minutes it is away from the airport. So that's one cool thing that we have here in Utah is our airport is really close to the city and close to the ski areas. So I'm just going to go through the ski areas really quickly and tell you kind of what they're famous for. Alta is known for being exclusively for skiers. There are no snowboarders allowed. It's kind of a skier's paradise. Beaver Mountain is family owned, and it is down south a little bit. Brian Head is known for skiing and riding in the desert, in the Red Rocks, so that's a little bit farther down south. Brighton is known for its terrain park and kids and under ski free. Brighton is a really fun resort to go to. That's a popular one among locals. Cherry Creek is known for its affordability and proximity to Logan, which is in northern Utah. I'll talk about that in a minute. Deer Valley is known for its excellent ski school, the best grooming, and the high quality dining. Again, that one is ski only. That's kind of a paradise for skiers. Eagle Point is known for its beautiful views over the mountains in southern Utah's Red Rock. Nordic Valley is known for its night skiing and affordability. Powder Mountain is also affordable, and that's up north. Snow Basin is known for day lodges and high-end dining, and the Olympic downhill runs. We hosted the Olympics in 2002. Snowbird is known for steep, challenging terrain. Solitude, known for being less crowded and quiet. And Sundance is known for being owned by Robert Redford. It is upscale and it has beautiful scenery and it mixes ski with art. And they also have some wonderful restaurants in Sundance. And in Woodward Park City is our newest ski area, and it's known as a unique training facility with on and off snow progression. So Woodward would be a fun one to check out because it is brand new. So Yellowstone Loop is something that we promote. These are our northern cities. So we know that our national parks get a lot of love and our skiing gets a lot of love. But Yellowstone Loop is kind of our northern cities. That involves Brigham City with where the Golden Spike is. Logan is a northern city. It is a college town and known for its theater district. Ogden, Utah has historic 25th Street and a lot of fun activities there like indoor skydiving and surfing. Vernal, that's the picture of the pink dinosaur there. That is known as Dinosaur Land, and they have lots of dinosaur quarries and hiking where you can go see petroglyphs. Bear Lake is one of my favorite places. It's known to have a monster in Bear Lake. Like the Loch Ness Monster, but the Bear Lake Monster. So it's always fun to try to go up and see her. I haven't done that yet. And then we also include a few little towns in southern Idaho, Lava Hot Springs, Idaho, and Pocatello. So this is where you can fly into the Salt Lake Airport and make some of these stops along the way on your trip to Yellowstone. So this is our capital city. This is Salt Lake City, and we're surrounded by mountains on all sides. So you can spend your day taking in a scenic drive in the mountains, maybe stopping for a hike or a bike ride or a picnic, or in the winter, some snowshoeing or tubing, and then return to the city for a night on the town. Salt Lake has an excellent restaurant scene, several local coffee roasters, award-winning breweries, and fun bars and clubs. And here's just an example of some of the things that you can do in Salt Lake. We have local coffee shops like Jack Mormon Coffee and Coffee Garden and Salt Lake Roasting Company. And we have our kind of a claim to fame. We have a local coffee shop called the Coffee Garden, which is located in a part of the city called 9th and 9th. And it is the only local coffee shop to push Starbucks right out of their neighborhood. So on the itineraries that are in Travify that Haley put together, she has a lot of good restaurant recommendations for fun local restaurants, a lot of new restaurants. And that would be a good place to start is with the itineraries that Haley put together. And that's just kind of a high level. That's just kind of a high level introduction to Utah. And we do have very detailed itineraries loaded into Travify. Thanks to Haley Rogers. She's amazing. She'll be your Travify contact. But that's just kind of a little taste of everything that you can do here in Utah. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Jody. I think we all learned something new today, that the best snow is in Utah. Who would have thought? Yep. And Rhonda, I'm sending presenter role over to you. And while we get that set up too, I do want to mention, because we've had a lot of questions about those itineraries. So we'll be sending out those itineraries. They'll be in a link. So they're not in Travify in your account or anything, but when you go to the link that we'll send afterwards, and I think Scott put it up he put it in the chat earlier too, so you can check it out there. But in there, you'll be able to open a Travify itinerary and there'll be an option to copy it. So that's how you'll get those in there. But we can go over those too after everything to explain that. But Rhonda, I will let you take it away and share Alberta with us.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, and you can see my screen okay?
Yep, looks awesome.
Okay, perfect. And thank you, everyone. I'm excited to be on this panel. And Alberta and Utah have a lot in common. And I can't believe how many ski hills you have there. I'm an avid skier, so I can't wait to come down and go skiing. And we tend to like to think that we have really good snow here too in Alberta as well. But I can't wait to get down there. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time today to come out and learn more about our destination. Alberta has been taking a lot of precautions and putting a lot of regulations in place due to COVID, just to make sure our experiences and our activities are up to date to ensure that the guests are feeling safe and healthy when they're here in the province and exploring around. So I just wanted to touch on some of the locations around Alberta and experiences. So I don't know if there's any hockey fans out there, but Edmonton, Alberta was actually one of the hosts of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. And so they were one of the hub cities, and they actually didn't have any COVID cases with any of the NHL hockey players. So they did a fantastic job in Edmonton with hosting those players. And they also have a new JW Marriott downtown, and they have some new Métis experiences, which are the Indigenous experiences that you can find and learn about the history of the Indigenous culture within Alberta. And now off to Jasper. So Jasper National Park is the largest national park of the Canadian Rockies, and it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is only about 4 hours away from Edmonton, and you can see the gorgeous views that you'll be able to see once you're in Jasper. It's a small mountain town. And as we've heard already, winter is coming up, and this is just a look at one of the ski hills in Jasper National Park. There's spectacular views, and we have actually one of the longest ski seasons in the world. So you can actually go skiing in Alberta from November all the way until the end of May. And it's really unique to go skiing in May when it's really warm out. You can go skiing on the ski hill and then go golfing actually in the town. So it's a pretty cool itinerary to do both skiing as well as golfing. And then Jasper is a dark sky preserve. It's one of the world's only dark sky preserves, so you can see amazing stars out here in Alberta. So it's really neat just to make sure that your clients remember to go outside and actually look up. And the way the town is built in Jasper, all the lights point down, so there's not a lot of light pollution, so you really get a great view of the stars. And then in Jasper, this is a picture of Malane Canyon. And so you can actually go down into the canyon during the winter time. And then in the summertime, this canyon is actually full of water. And so you can view it from the top. But in the wintertime, it freezes, and they do tours that go right down into the canyon. And then another great thing about Jasper is there's over 1,000 individual cabins that you can rent. And so it's a really neat experience if you want to go and have that authentic winter experience. Like winter wonderland experience, Jasper has a ton of cabins here that you can choose from. And then another good thing about Alberta is we have lots of adventurous activities, and we have loaded one adventure itinerary in there if you have any clients that are looking for adventure. But a good thing about Alberta is a family can travel or friends with all different adventure abilities. And then we have lots of experience where they do learn to ice climb, learn to go kayaking, all the way up to the really, really expert experiences. And lately, within Alberta, over the last few years, these ice bubbles have been a world phenomenon. We've had National Geographic come take pictures of them, and they're where the temperature drops so quickly, methane bubbles form in these lakes, and it creates these ice bubbles. So photographers from around the world will come and see these ice bubbles. They're popular in Australia and Japan and China and all throughout Europe. Europe, and they can be found here in Alberta. And this is located in central Alberta. And sorry, I forgot to mention at the beginning, if people don't know where Alberta is, it's just north of the Montana border in Canada. And there's also helicopter tours that can go and take you the view of those ice bubbles. Now, everyone knows, most everyone knows the famous Chateau Lake Louise. In Alberta, this is one of the most famous spots that people can go and stay at, and they've created a lot of health and wellness activities here at the property. And a good thing to note with COVID and what's going on in the world right now, that Alberta has a lot of wide open spaces. We don't have a lot of people up here in Canada, and so it's really good if people want to get away and explore. Even for domestic travelers, a lot of Canadians are, you know, going out and exploring other provinces right now, and Alberta has that refreshing nature side to it, which makes you rejuvenate. And we also have 3 main ski hills here in Banff and Lake Louise. And a good thing that these ski hills have started to implement in the last couple of years is if you have a family or friends with some non-skiers, all 3 of the ski hills, you can take the gondola or the chairlift to the very top of the mountains, so you can still get those same views even if you're not a skier, which is fantastic. And then Sunshine Mountain Resort does have a hotel that's right at top of the mountain. And a lot of people think the fact that we don't have ski in, ski out is a downfall, but it's actually great because when you're skiing on those mountains, you're not staring at hotels or restaurants, you're staring at surrounded by gorgeous mountains. And this is another popular experience, the Banff Gondola in Banff, and they actually just renovated this huge, gorgeous restaurant at the top of the gondola. So you can come up and see these spectacular views. And one thing to note too, in Alberta, winters are off season. So our peak season is summer. So you can get fantastic hotel deals in the winter time and rates to get you to see the province. And then this is a picture of Kananaskis. It's the new Marriott hotel that was built there. It's about 45 minutes from Calgary and another 40 minutes into Banff, but it's less popular there, and this is the only hotel at this area. So it's a spectacular place that could be a hub and spoke for numerous mountain activities, and they actually just implemented and built a Nordic spa there. So it's a great relaxing place to go and unwind and rejuvenate. And then in Canmore area, we do have, there's lots of dog sledding, lots of athletic hiking experiences that you can take. And then we actually have a big caving network there too. And it's open all year round, and it's 5 degrees all year round in the cave. So it's great if it's raining outside or if it's too cold outside and people still want to go on that experience. And they have short cave hikes, and then they also have the long, more experienced exploring types. And this is a picture of Calgary, which is our other main city in Alberta. So a lot of people will fly in and out of Calgary. And right now in Alberta, we have a huge brewery boom. There's over 250 breweries here. So people can go on to see breweries, can go on food tours, can also go to distilleries. So we have all the important ingredients that are homegrown here in Alberta. And a lot of people don't know that Alberta has 6 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. This is a list of them. We do have a few itineraries in Travify that go to all of these locations. And so it's really cool to be able to come to Alberta, see the Rocky Mountains, which everyone knows Alberta for, but then be surprised and amazed at these spectacular locations and these other topography that they can see while in Alberta. Here's a couple more pictures. So this is Drumheller, where you can go, and we have a dinosaur museum there, Royal Trail Museum, and people can actually go and learn about the dinosaur bones. We have a huge fossil bed of dinosaurs in Alberta here, and Dinosaur Provincial Park is where you can actually go hiking, and you can actually see dinosaur bones in the ground. And when I first went there, I'm like, aren't they concerned that there's like this dinosaur bone here? Don't they need to take it out? And they're like, no, there's so many dinosaur bones here. we only extract it from the earth if it's the actual full dinosaur intact, because there's so many, they can't be bothered to take them up. So you can actually go and stand on a dinosaur bone and touch it, which is a really cool experience. So these pictures here that I'm showing you right now are only about 3 to 4 hours away from the Canadian Rockies, and with the rolling foothills in between and the gorgeous farmland. So it is quite spectacular scenery. And then Riding on Stone Provincial Park is in the southern part of Alberta, and this is where you can actually go see pictographs from the Natives and Indigenous community that they've carved onto the stone. So there's only a few places in the world that you can actually go see these, so it's a really unique historical place to go see, and it just became a UNESCO World Heritage Site last year. And then this is just on the very southern border of Alberta. So at the end of the lake there is Montana. So it's a really cool spot. It's a really small mountain town that's a little bit different than Banff and Jasper. It's really tiny, hidden away at the bottom of our province. A lot of people do road trips itineraries that include Montana and the states, the northern states there, and Alberta. There's a boat ride that takes you to the back of the lake to Montana and then back up here to this town, which is a pretty neat experience for people to say that they went to the States as well as Canada in one trip. And I just wanted to highlight Alberta's 7 signature foods. These are what we're known for around the world, or what we're famous for, I guess. Honey, root vegetables, Saskatoon berries, red Fife wheat, bison, Alberta beef, and canola. We're actually the world's 5th largest producer of honey out there, which a lot of people don't know. So I hope you learned something today. Thank you guys so much. I just added some pictures of what it looks like here in Alberta right now with the gorgeous larch trees. Are very famous for people to come up and see them. It's quite spectacular now in Alberta with the leaves changing.
Thank you. Oh, that looks so beautiful, all of those pictures. And we learned another thing here today about honey. We are just learning so many facts. So many things. And Jonathan, I'm going to pass it over to you now. So we have been to Oregon now, Utah, took a trip up to Canada. We're heading across the pond to UK for our UK friends. So Jonathan, I will let you take it away here.
Thank you. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep, we can see it.
Right. Okay. Well, again, thank you guys for having us. So domestic tourism, international tourism, I'm trying to put them under the same umbrella at the moment. Basically, Visit Britain is the government tourist office. We're here to promote Great Britain internationally, and we also have Visit England for the domestic brand. I'm based in LA, but the headquarters is obviously in London. Today, basically, we're going to talk about some stuff for UK domestic travel, but the idea as well is that we hope some of the North Americans get some ideas, and maybe for the future that you can use some of these for future clients. Just a heads up on the UK for Canada and the USA, there is still a 14-day quarantine at the moment, so wanted to get that out of the way now because we do get a lot of questions on that. So I'm just going to quickly go over a couple of campaigns which have been going on. First one is We're Good to Go. This was something we rolled out with the government and local health of England for suppliers, and basically it's for an industry standard to adhere by the rules the government and the health had set out, the distance, the face mask and things like that. We did a big thing on social media with it. We had over 38,000 applications to date, and I believe currently around 33,000 been accepted. And if it's something that clients are worried about, and we do now have a website, which is the www.goodtogo.visitbritain.com/discover. And here you can basically search for suppliers by location, business name, or type of business. So if it's a particular hotel, for example, in Liverpool, you can go to Liverpool, search hotels, and it will give you a list of all the hotels that have applied and been accepted for this mark. Know Before You Go is another campaign we've done domestically. This is very simple. It's do some research, do some homework before you go. If you want to go and to a particular site, you may require to have pre-booked a ticket. it's very unlikely they're just going to let you in now, or buy a ticket on the door. So it's very simple. Just do the homework, and this includes any international travel. We're going to start once we're able to. We'll promote it for international as well. Now, our main campaign, and what I'm going to talk a bit more about today, is called Escape the Everyday. Visit England, in partnership with the tourism organisations in London, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, launched a £5 million UK-wide domestic campaign to basically encourage domestic trips during autumn and winter. We want to show everybody the incredible country that they live in, but today also hopefully some of the North Americans among us will get some ideas for future travel. So we'll start with Escape to London. It's an obvious one, 1,000 years in the making. London's basically overflowing with rich history. You've got the architecture, sort of like St. Paul's Cathedral, which survived the Blitz in World War II. HMS Belfast is still moored in the Thames since 1971, so a lot of history there. But if the picture here is basically a place called God's Own Junkyard, and it's in northeast London, and it's basically an artistic wonderland with hundreds of neon signs. It's a little bit different. So today I'm going to talk about some things which a lot of even Brits may not have realised is on their own doorstep. Whilst in London, celebrate some iconic British brands. We can have afternoon tea, which has been offered by one of Britain's oldest caterers called Searcy's, and they partnered with Wedgwood, which is a very famous potter. And basically this is called the Chelsea Afternoon Tea, and it's in the Saatchi Gallery. So it's kind of putting a bit of everything together in one place. So it's bookable, and you drink wine, which is from the south coast of the UK as well, award-winning. So a bit of everything. Bath, again, everyone knows Bath, even I'm sure the North Americans here. So go to Bath, basically escape, relax. It's a World Heritage Site. It's got the baths that date back over 2,000 years, built by the Romans. But actually, the warm thermal bath spa is actually, the water is still reused today. In the picture here, they've actually created a new modern bathing pool. There's an indoor one and an outdoor one. This is the outdoor one, so you can actually go in, relax, naturally heated. And then this one, you actually also get the views of the Somerset Hills and some of the Georgian architecture as well. For something a little bit different, guests can actually go on a walking tour and a hawk-stroke owl flying experience. Basically, you'll get to hear interesting stories about past residents. And then at the end of the tour, they'll go to a non-for-profit falconry on the outskirts of the city and hear about how these birds are cared for, suitable for families and adults alike. So it's a great introduction to Bath for the history and something a little bit different. Now let's get to Sussex, formerly an independent medieval kingdom back in the day. So basically a cultural pocket of southeast England, but it's now home to an array of vineyards and outstanding open spaces. They've got a great park there called the Seven Sisters County Park, and it's part of the South Downs National Park. Great for getting out and walking, goes all the way down to the coast, as you can see here, the White Cliffs, not just at Dover, but also all the way to Sussex. Sussex is also home to Brighton, a very famous city, as the I-360 British Airways viewing tower, which is relatively new. So you can go up there and you can basically see out across the English Channel or back through Sussex over the Brighton and into the countryside. And then just a bit further along the coast, you've got the town of Battle, which is famous, and it houses the 1066 Battle Abbey and the battlefield of where the Battle of Hastings occurred in 1066, probably England's most famous battle. Not far from Sussex, in Hampshire, which is probably from Brighton, about an hour and a half drive. You've got, I'm sure a lot of you will know, Downton Abbey, which is obviously the real name is Highclere Castle, designed by Charles Barry, who's the same architect who designed the Houses of Parliament, and it's been part of the Carnarvon family since 1679. But not only can you now explore this stately home and act out maybe some of your famous scenes from Downton if you're into that, but it's the first time in the 221-year history you actually can stay overnight in the gatehouse, known as the London Lodge. So it's there are 2 separate lodges at the either side of the iron gates that go, which are part of the mile-long driveway, and they're actually rentable. They have had people actually stay in the building before, but I think that's only on special occasions, and I've not heard anything that they're going to do that in the near future. Now, if you want to do something a little bit different, one of my favorite places, grew up here down the southwest, is Padstow, so escape to Padstow. It's a small seaside fishing port on the north coast of Cornwall, and it's got a charming harbour. It's a little bustling town. It's got clear blue waters, little winding back streets, very minimal traffic because the streets are so small, but it's huge with seafood connoisseurs. A lot of famous restaurants there. A famous chef, Rick Stein, he's called, opened up a few restaurants and really put Padstow on the map. But you don't have to be eating all day. Padstow is great for, it's also the National Lobster Hatchery, so you can learn about marine conservation around the south coast. And there's something we very simply called crabbing. I'm not sure if you call it that in the US. You go, you buy some bait, a line, and you, as the young girl here is showing, you basically catch crabs and then you release them because they're not edible, should we say. But also in Cornwall, there's a little bit different. Reen Manor offers horse riding on the beach, but also in the countryside. The pictures here are a famous 3-mile-long sandy strip, which is down in Perranporth. They have over 20 horses, and if you're an advanced rider or a beginner, they have lots to offer. So it's just something a little bit different to do if you're down in the area. Obviously, I've got to touch a little bit on some of the other countries because we are, technically 4 countries in 1 country. Bit of background, if anybody knows, United Kingdom is England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. We visit Britain, so Britain is basically England, Scotland, and Wales. So Northern Ireland are a little bit more independent when it comes to tourism, and they work a lot more with the Republic of Ireland. So Scotland, obviously very popular at the moment. I know we've had a lot of inquiries about Scotland, and why not rent a camper van and explore, try and find a monster Nessie up in Loch Ness, or with a camper van you can catch ferries between the islands in the north or in the west of the country. And then talking of the islands, if it wants to turn. The 2 I picked out, we've got the Isle of Arran, which is a very famous for its whiskey. So you can go to the Arran distillery and learn about how the whiskey's made there. But it's also, great for food. You've got the famous cheese shop, or lots of hiking. So there's a lot of rugged peaks, granite ridges to the north. So there's endless amounts of walking routes. Or if you want to get out a little bit further away and do something really different, go to the Shetland Islands in Scotland. Very famous for its arts and crafts. There towards the north, takes a little bit more of a ferry ride or a flight. But here, they actually have a Shetland Wool Week where you can actually go and buy handmade woolen items like knitwear, jumpers, things like that, actually made there in front of you at the it's called the Fair Isle. But you can also see the northern lights, or depending on the time of year and if you're lucky or not. Basically, Scotland, the Shetland Islands are so far north, they're up there close to Iceland, so they do get the northern lights at certain times of the year, which people are not always aware of. And then finally, I'm going to touch on a little bit on Wales. So this is Cardiff Castle. So there's over 2,000 years of history in Cardiff Castle. You can go down. You can go down to the underground part of it, and there's a lot of World War II history there. Or you can go right up to the top and go to the Great Clock Tower, get some great views. But Cardiff, which is the capital of Wales, if you weren't aware, very big, buzzing indie food scene at the moment. So there's a lot of arcades, side streets, and parts of suburbs that have all these different array of food. I know it's become very popular in places like Portland in Oregon, but Wales and Cardiff is kind of going down that line as well. So it's you know, for younger travelers, younger people want, you know, food at the moment is huge, especially not just, you know, in the UK and Great Britain, but all over America as well. And then I picked out a couple of different things for Wales to talk about. North Wales, beautiful, very not spoke about as much as other places in Wales, but it's, you know, the picture, the top right hand picture is basically the is Pennham Point on the Menai Strait, and it overlooks Puffin Island, and the lighthouse is the Trinju Lighthouse, still in operation. And then the underneath, this is the Festiniog Railway steam train, and the picture of it is there crossing the Cobb at Porthmadog in the Snowdonian National Park. Very picturesque, a little bit more in the country. But Wales, I like Wales. I'm from southwest England, but Wales is close to my heart. I do like it. It's very pretty. I spent a lot of time in Wales. I've kind of picked out a few little things. It's difficult for domestic travel a little bit more for us in that a lot of these places you can go for the day. You know, Britain is only an hour and a half. You're only an hour and a half away from the coast anywhere in Britain. So you can literally travel to anywhere, unless you want to go from the south to Scotland, which is going to be, you know, roughly a 10, 11-hour drive. You can do a lot of day trips. What we have given Travelfire 3 itineraries, not any of the ones I've talked about today, really. For England, it'll be the Taste of the Lake district, so it's going to be a little bit different. For Scotland, it's actually a food experience that will cover Edinburgh and Glasgow. And then Wales is the north part of Wales, but focusing more around Conway and Conway Castle. So when you get them, please check them out. They are going to be different to what I've talked about today, but I wanted to give a few other options of things that are going on. You know, we've got a whole country to talk about. I could be here for 3 or 4 hours and I wouldn't even touch on half of it. And then if anybody wants to help promote or anything, the Escape the Everyday does have a campaign toolkit available. The best thing to do is just go to Visit Britain, www.trade.visitbritain.com or visitbritain.com, and you'll be able to find it. You'll also find it on the Visit England website as well. So if you want to take any of the pictures on there, if you want to promote it through any of your channels, etc., to any guests or clients, you can download the Escape the Everyday. We do have a lot of toolkits as well. So, you know, this is available to everybody, not just in Britain, but obviously to North American agents as well. So we have the trade.visitbritain.com website, which is the main website you'll want to use. That's got a lot more information. If you are selling Britain in any way in the future or for domestic, then please visit the visitbritainshop.com. If you sign up and go through that, there is commission available if you buy any of the tickets, etc., through there. Visit Britain Images, great if you want to promote. Rail travel's great in Britain. We do have 2 rail catalogs there, brochures. Basically, one's the trade one and one's for guests. So if you want to download it or email it over, there's a PDF version. And then finally, that's me. My information, if anybody wants to reach out, anybody has any questions that I haven't answered today, please look for us on Instagram, which is lovegreatbritain.com, Love Great Britain, but we're also the next same on Facebook. So join, sign up. We mainly just do pictures to just show great things happening in the UK. But yeah, and that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope that was really helpful for our British travel agent friends. But for North America folks, when we are able, Jonathan, I think you're going to be seeing us over there here very soon. Be really exciting. Well, let me just share my screen really quick. I'm going to pass it to myself, and then we're just going to go over a few questions that we have been coming in. And thanks everyone for the awesome questions. We've had tons of great stuff. The first was, let me look here. Okay, so this one is, okay, so someone had asked, so Jody, during your presentation, Andrea had asked, where can we get information for each mountain? And Haley and Rachel from your team was able to send a link for us to answer that. So I don't know if you have anything else to add, but we did add in the chat the skiutah.com link in there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can't even see the chat, so that is good news. Yeah, skiutah.com is a good place to go, and then our website, visitutah.com, has information on pretty much everything I talked about as well.
Awesome, perfect. Yeah, and there's a lot of questions about the ski that people wanted a lot more information on. So everyone go check that out too, because that'll be really helpful there. And then this one's for you, Rhonda. So when you were sharing the new Marriott property, Christine had just jumped on and she was wondering what that property was called.
It's the Kananaskis Lodge.
Awesome. Well, it was so beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really nice property.
Yeah, that's awesome. And another question for you too is Heather had asked, other than hotels, where can travel advisors find commissionable itineraries and adventures with or without expert guides?
Yeah, Scott, I think, is going to post our website's travelalberta.com. And so on there is a list of all the experiences, and then also our DMO website, so Banff Lake Louise Tourism, Jasper Tourism. So all of the experiences within the province, they will offer commissionable rates if you don't book through a third party as well. So
awesome, cool. That's perfect. And I know that a lot of people were asking too if we can get contact info for each panelist. So I'll work on getting that from all of you here, and then we'll put it on that website. So again, that article that you'll get after this, it'll be in an email, or you can find it at academy.travify.com, and you'll have all that information on there. Because I know as we dive in, it's just more questions come up, and I know that you'll think of those as you're booking things for your clients. But unfortunately, we are running out of time, but I did have a question for everybody. And I know that Greg had to hop off, so he had to hop off a little early. But this is a question, and I apologize if this is really hard, but if you can say one thing, your favorite thing from your destination, what would it be? And anyone can start. It's a tough one, right?
It's hard. It's hard.
I love country.
I know. I love just being in the mountains and that fresh air, like how refreshing it is when you can be outside in nature. You don't see people, you don't hear traffic, and it's just that refreshing, clean, fresh air when you breathe it in, and it just rejuvenates you. And I just love living so close to that.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'll jump in then. So I live in California now, and so I get to go home. And I grew up in the country down in Devon, which is southwest England. So for me, when I go home, just funny enough, similar to what Rhonda just said, it's the smell of the air, which is so fresh, but also being in the countryside. And I grew up close to the coast. So my favorite town in the whole of the UK is St. Ives, which is down in Cornwall, not far from Padstow. And again, it's just a little fishing village, and it's tiny, and it's just the little streets. You got the smell of the sea air and the good food, and it's just for me, it's bliss. So
that's awesome. Sounds wonderful.
And for me with Utah, and I've been talking about this a lot lately, we just are so diverse with our landscape. You can be up in the mountains, one day skiing or hiking, and then you can take a drive down and the landscape completely changes, into red rocks and the national parks. So there's lots of outdoor activities, and there are lots of, cultural activities too. We have a really good restaurant scene and breweries, and, the arts scene in Utah is really good. So, whatever mood you're in, there's something to do here in Utah, and I like that.
That's awesome. And Jody, one thing, can you explain, I don't think you talked about during the presentation, that one place where you can almost take rescue animals and hang out with them for a day?
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing some of my slides that were supposed to be in.
I was like, that was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know where they went. But yes, in Kanab, Utah, there's a place called Best Friends Animal Sanctuary, and it's one of the largest animal sanctuaries in the country. And they take in not only dogs and cats, but they have, horses and rabbits and goats and all different kinds of things. So you can actually take a trip. A lot of people do this, to go down and volunteer at the animal sanctuary for the day. So you can go out and help with the animals. You can take a dog on a hike. They have hotels down there that are dog friendly. So, you know, if you're an animal lover, that is a really good place to go and a good opportunity to go, you know, volunteer and meet some like-minded people.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's very unique. That's really a cool thing to do. Now, final question for everybody, because we keep getting these as well, is, well, I'll start with you, Jonathan, is where would agents go to begin booking and earning commission?
Sure. So if they're domestic, then visitengland.com is a good one, but trade.visitbritain.com is more international, but they can still go there if they want ideas. I mean, that's more geared towards the international market. But at the moment, if people are, you know, wanting to find something, but the main thing is the Visit Britain shop. So if they find ideas on the website, they want to go to the Visit Britain shop, that's technically where they'll then find commissionable products.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. And we'll have that website linked on our article as well. I believe that's the one, but I'll double check and make sure that one is on there as well.
They're all linkable, yeah. So if you go to
Okay.
trade.visitbritain, or they're all on there.
Perfect. Awesome. Perfect. And same with Alberta, where would agents go and to find commissionable links and book those?
Yeah, I would just, in the itineraries that we have shared with you, all the experiences in there do work with the travel trades, so you can connect with them directly to get commissionable rates, or work with the third parties if you do book through a tour operator, or you book through a receptive tour operator as well. Those are great ways to get commissionable rates there.
Perfect. Great. And same to Utah, where would they go to find those products to book?
I think that the best place to go, the best thing to do would be to contact our office. You can contact me for all of our travel trade resources. So we can put out some more information on that as we get it.
Perfect. That's great. And once again, everyone, too, we'll have all this information. You'll get it afterwards on that article, but feel free once you get the email from us, or email us at academy@travify.com, and we can help get answers to you as well. But I just want to thank all of our presenters here again. Thank you so much for sharing inspiration, ideas with us on domestic travel, and we really appreciate your time today. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on here as well. And again, wait for that email after this recording, but everyone have a great rest of your day, and thanks again to our wonderful panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.